The government of Premier Doug Ford is being accused of failing millions of people in the province today because his government had set today as its goal date to make Ontario fully accessible for people with disabilities, something advocates say hasn't happened. Al Sweeney joins us live in studio with the latest on this. Al.
Matt, today is the government's own deadline, January 1st, 2025. But advocates for people with disabilities say the province is a long way from meeting its goal. Whether it's wheelchair accessibility, information accessibility through captions, or accessibility for people with vision issues, on a whole range of issues, advocates for the disabled say the government is nowhere near its goal.
We are eons away, to be perfectly honest with you.
If anything, I would say that the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act is an abject failure.
The Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act was passed in 2005 with the goal of developing, implementing, and enforcing accessibility standards in goods, services, facilities, accommodation, employment, buildings, and more on or before January 1st, 2025. The legislation came in under the Liberal governments of Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne, and now Conservative Premier Doug Ford. Advocates say none of them did what needed to be done to meet the goal.
I think what this is a lack of political investment and will from the current government and previous governments. I think that what we're seeing is a systemic form of ableism playing out across this province. And I think that it is a promise broken across several governments to the disabled people of Ontario.
They say the government's thinking has to change.
The government doesn't see people with disabilities as assets to our community, unfortunately, and we need to eradicate that stereotype.
Brad Evoy argues Ontario has actually fallen behind. It hasn't updated or enforced accessibility standards, and things have gotten worse.
Ontario, if anything, has become a more inaccessible place in a lot of different areas.
They say the lack of accessibility affects more than 3 million people with disabilities, and possibly more in a world where anyone can face a disability at any time.
More often than not, people will incur disability at some point or time in their life, whether it be temporary, permanent, long-term, short-term, at birth or later on in life. And it'll impact the way certain activities are done.
So they're calling on the government to talk to people with disabilities to get their input on what should be done and benefit from their experience. And maybe set a new deadline for full accessibility, although even another 5 years may not be enough. We did reach out to the province today for their response, but didn't hear back.